So I put up I don't think I did a YouTube talk on it, but I put up a graphic um, a little while back, a couple days ago. Let's see if I can find it. Actually, it should be in this file here. About what it would look like if we had a Clinton landslide. Yeah. Okay. Actually, we did have this talk, didn't we? That's right. Okay. But I took the I took the photo down, so it's no longer accessible. And a couple of days later, Nate Silver puts up a projection as to his take on what a Clinton landslide would look like, and it's very different. I just want to. It's very early. I don't want to have a discussion or a debate about the about the accuracy of the predictions at this point. I think that's just pointless. I don't think either one of us can make a valid prediction at this point. But I want to react to the methodology that he's using because I think that it's not good. So this is exactly the kind of uniform swing distribution that I spent months yelling about last fall, and in the end failed horribly. What that means is that he's just taking, I was talking about how modeling is about distribution, right? And and the purpose of a good model is how do you figure out the way to distribute things, right? So you have a national pool, and then you want to figure out how do you take that data from a national pool and put it into the different states, right? How do you distribute that? And that's what a good model can do, right? And what I suggested was that a bad way to do that is to just do it on a uniform swing level based on the existing predictions, right? So what you don't want to do is take the results of the last election and then uniformly apply the polling results to every state the same way. And when you do that, you end up with the kind of results that you see in the model that he's suggesting, which suggests that if states are going to fall, Texas will fall first, right? It's hard to get that, this idea that, just because the numbers are closer there, it doesn't mean that the increase in national polling is going to apply, to Utah or Texas more, or the same level as it's going to apply to other states that you might have a better advantage in, right? It's just a naive way to do it. What you want to do rather is look at places where she has advantages based on policy positions or on demographics, right? But you want to hone in on things, right? So my example in Canada was this. What they did was and you've got to keep in mind that the model's different, right? The Canadian elections are more like the House of Representatives, and not you're not looking at provinces widely, right? Instead, what you want to do is the opposite problem, is that you get polling for a province and you want to figure out how it applies to specific regions of the province, right? So one of the errors that they would make is they would say they would say, okay, the Liberals are up 10% in Alberta, so we're going to apply that the same throughout all of Alberta, right? So, the foothills, in rural Alberta are going to get the same boost as downtown Calgary, which doesn't make any sense, right? Rather, if you want to look at that intelligently, what you'd say is, okay, if there's a 10-point boost in Alberta, that probably means that there's a 0-point boost in the foothills of Alberta, and a 15 or 20 point boost in Calgary, and it balances out to 10%. So then you need to do things like look at population levels and fit your model so that it's taking all of these things into consideration. That's going to apply just the same in terms of how since what you're doing is you're taking it up a level, right? Taking it up a notch. In Canada, it was province-wide pools, and you want to take province-wide pools and distribute it into cities and into ridings. I'm sorry, I lost my word there. So you want to take the province-wide results and put them into ridings, right? In the states, what we're doing is we're taking national pools and we're distributing them into states, right? So it's the same basic process. It's just you're up a level of abstraction, right? And in fact, you can transfer over to the same pools. Obviously, statewide polling is a lot better. And due to the way that the system works, you don't have to distribute statewide pools at all. You can just look at the state pools and be like, okay, that's very straightforward, right? But if you're dealing with national polling and you're trying to take those national polls and put them in there, that's a harder problem that's more comparable to what I'm suggesting, right? And so to suggest that you're going to have the same effect in Utah, which has no historical connection to Clinton, I don't know why he suggests that Mormons would be more likely to vote for Clinton, considering that she's a female. I think that I might want to think that through a little bit more carefully. Or to suggest, that you're going to see the same boost in Wyoming that you're going to see in Arkansas, where she has a history, Notwithstanding, like Arkansas might be, the switch. There's a history there that you've got to take advantage as well, right? When Clinton first started, the Democrats were you still had a lot of older Democrats that were basically what we call modern Republicans today, and the whole you can barely read, you don't know what you're voting for thing was as equally true when they were voting for Clinton as it is when they're voting for Trump, right? So it's maybe hard to make any sense. Like, Arkansas is like West Virginia, right? But at the same time, her opponent is a billionaire from New York, right? So I mean, we need more data. We need to let things develop a little bit more, which is why I'm kind of hesitant to suggest anything at all, right? Except that this is a bad idea, right? I don't want to make any, I don't want to state authoritatively that she will have an advantage in the Mississippi Delta because she's from there. But I do suspect that as the polling unravels, we're going to see that she will do disproportionately well in the Mississippi Delta, and we'll see the regular Republican results assert themselves in the Rockies. The point being just simply that the uniform swing distribution is a bad idea. Okay? I spent months yelling about it last fall, and in the end, I wasn't 100% right in the way that I interpreted it, but I was right in pointing out that the way they were doing it was wrong, right? Clinton's theoretical advantage in red states around the Mississippi suggests that she should gain voters there much faster than she would in the western part of the red state bloc, the Rockies or the prairies. Again, let's wait for some data to come in, but I don't like the way he's doing this, okay? I may change how I'm modifying my suggestions based on more data comes in, but there's no way that I'm going to pick up a uniform swing distribution. Okay, that is definitely wrong. and I can't think of any way. Like I pointed out with the racist thing, like it happened to fluke out. I can't think of any way that a uniform distribution is going to fluke out, unless she wins 40 states, right? And then it's. So a 10-point lead nationwide should give her a 15-point boost in Mississippi. Don't take those numbers seriously. The point just being that whatever her boost is nationally, it should be bigger around the Mississippi Delta. And that might be enough to make it close. But I wouldn't expect her to get a boost at all in Utah. And it's also, unless it comes from the split, right? She may win Georgia on the split. If she's going to win Utah on the split, that would be pretty extreme, right? So it's also ignoring what could be a significant third candidate. So what should we do then? Well, like I said, I think it's too early to do this seriously, but I'll say the same thing I said about Canada. You're really better off trying to find a historical precedent than you are trying to find an algorithm to convert 2008 into 2016, and one does exist. It wasn't even that long ago, and Clinton has a strong connection to him. It's easy enough to say there's no way that they'll vote for her in Arkansas. Well, Clinton won Arkansas twice. He won Louisiana twice. Clinton won Louisiana twice. My guess right now is to look at 92 or 96. Okay, Perot got almost 20% in 92 and less than 10% in 96. But Clinton got more electoral votes in 1996 despite winning less states. He won Georgia in 92 on the split and lost Arizona, but won Arizona in 96 and lost Georgia as a consequence of his record. So as we get closer to the election, Johnson's numbers will tell us which one is a better model. But I think that Trump matches up better to Bush than Dole. Yes, Dole was seen as a doddering idiot, but it was Bush that was seen as the ideologically distant northeastern liberal. I know that people are going to push back and say, well, it's not 1992. Why are you looking at 1992? What I'm saying is I'm pushing back and saying, no, you want to look at past results. You don't want to try and take the last election and fuck with it based on your demographics. We're at direct odds here. Let's see which one works out. But I haven't decided which one you want to look at as the best yet. That said, you'll also have to make a couple of changes, right? Because it's not 1992. And, it doesn't look like Trump has a real chance in Virginia, for example. And it doesn't look like Clinton has a real chance in West Virginia. So there's, those kinds of things. But, insofar as the map starts to break as a consequence of a third party specifically, I think 92 is your roadmap. I just glossed over repeatedly a very complicated discussion about independent variables. The basis of it is, can you look at the last election and try to modify those results? Can you try to convert 2008 into 2016? You can't. I would claim that you can't be, and that the math says that you can't. Because the variables are not dependent upon each other. Or are only weakly so. Rather, you want to look at this more like you'd look at predicting the weather. And if you ask a meteorologist, they will tell you that. Okay? That just because you get a cold winter doesn't mean you'll have a cold spring. And so instead of basing your forecast of this season on the previous season, you want to go back in your historical records and try to find a situation, where the clouds are shifting the same way, where you have the same patterns in the oceans, and try to build your model based on that. Now you're going to have to take into consideration different things, right? So the forecast for 2016 may be drawn on previous El Nino seasons, but it also wants to take into account changes that have happened in the Arctic, changes in solar insolation. But you're not basing your model of the summer of 2016 on the spring or the winter of 2016. You're basing it on a previous pattern that had El Nino, right? A previous pattern that was similar. And likewise, we don't want to look at this election based on the last one. we want to look at this election based on one that was similar to it. And right now, it looks like either 92 or 96 is your best bet, not 2008.